Good morning. How to file Form 944 for 2021 Employer's Annual Federal Tax Return. So if you have an L.L.C and you hire people to work in your L.L.C, you have employees, therefore you must have paid them, and you will report your portion of Social Security tax, Medicaid tax, and you will report federal income tax withheld, Social Security tax withheld, and Medicaid tax withheld from your employees' wages. And all of that, you will file Form 944. If IRS requested that you file Form 944 for your business, you'll file Form 944 to report the total of those taxes that you collected during the year to report it to IRS, and you use Form 944 for that. So how do you complete Form 944? First, where do you find that form? You'll go to irs.gov, and we will have the link to the form on our blog ninasoap.com under free download as well. There'll just be the link, and you click on the link to come to the form. But if you want to go look for the form yourself, you tap irs.gov, and in the search bar you tap Form 944. The issue with IRS website is when you do not type what you are looking for well, you may not find it. So you will click on the form and you will save it, and you will click on the instructions to the form and you will save it as well. And I would recommend you skim through the instructions, and I like to highlight what I found important to go back. And what I like to do when I'm reading the form, because I like to read it, you don't have to read everything in it if everything in it is not important to you. But what I like to do is when I get to the address section, I like to grab a 9x12 envelope and put the address that I'm going to use on the envelope right away. And then I'll file the envelope in my business mail holder. And if I know that I'm going to work on multiple forms at the same time, then I will use a piece of paper and I will use a clip to clip it to the envelope and put 944. That way I know that it is for 944. And if I'm filing the same return for Iowa or for the state and then for IRS, then I will put IRS on one paper that I clip on the envelope, and the other I will put states, for instance. So just those things to stay organized and not to put the wrong form in the wrong envelope. So you can skip through the instructions, but instructions is important for you to have on hand. You will find the address, you will mail the form. If you are completing it by hand, you have to mail it. You will need to find the address. We'll come back to that later. So how do you complete Form 944 for 2021? First things you'll do when you have the form saved will be to enter your business identification number, and make sure you double check the number and make sure it's accurate. You will put your name, the main business owner. You'll put your first name, last name. I like to just press capital, like lock the capital. Press the cap lock on my keyboard, and I'm using Windows, so I'm talking based on that. And then I can just tap the name. Everything in the top section will be capital letters. So you'll put your name and trade name, if any. You'll put your business name as well. And please make sure the business name is exactly the way it is on your EIN letter. You'll put the street name for your business, the city, the state, the zip code. And then you scroll down to part 1. So part 1 is all about the total amount of wages you pay during the year to your staff. If you are an LLC tax as an S Corp, or you are an S Corp, you, the business owner that is working actively in the business, you are an employee as well. So your compensation is included. And you might read the instructions more if you have an S Corp or an LLC tax as an S Corp and you collect, other than salary, you collected some compensation like fringe benefits. For example, you might want to read the instructions. In fact, the instructions alone may not be enough, but you might want to get familiar with that, because as an S Corp, if you owe more than a certain percentage of the business, that's maybe one downside of S Corps. Any fringe benefit you collect or benefit from can be added to your W-2 as like wages, like that will be included in your wages pretty much. So as it will be like an income for you to report. So you might want to read more about that if you collect more than just a salary from your business. So pretty much line 1 will be about all the wages paid to people working in the business as employees, including officers that are employees. So line 2 will be more about the tax, the income tax you withheld from employees' income. And line 4 is about Social Security and Medicare tax withheld. But how do you come up with those numbers? If your business is new, I will suggest you have a way to track those, to track your payroll. If you are now using a software, you can use a spreadsheet. Let's see here. You can use a spreadsheet and to track it, and I will probably explain that in another video. And on our blog, under free downloads, we have a type of free payroll spreadsheet there that you can download as well. Let me use this one. And we have it at liberdownload.com as well. So we are going to have, I'm going to put a link in the description to liberdownload.com. But pretty much, let me go to Q4. You can design, if you have time, you can design a simple spreadsheet to track your payrolls as you pay them to yourself or people working in the business. Okay, so I'm going to use an example here, and in this example we have two people in the business that work in the business. So pretty much I entered the amount paid under other compensation, but we have, I think I will explain the form in another video, but you have the option for hourly. When you enter the number of hours work, if you have employees, you pay by hour. You enter the number of hours, their name, the hours they worked, and how much you pay by hour. It will calculate the wages for you. You have a section for tips, but to keep it simple, I'm going to focus on other compensation. So for those two people in the business, we collected those two for in compensation. So pretty much how it works is, if you do not withhold income, a tax, federal income tax or social security from, or Medicaid tax from your employees or for yourself from your income, and you intend to pay that from the business, I'm going to use an example. So I collected $200 from the business. So that's the check that I collected. But it is not $200 that I will put on. Let me go back. And then I pay $100 to the other person for the year. I'm not going to put $300 as total wages. So let's go back to the spreadsheet again. So if you paid a certain dollar amount to your, to yourself, for instance, it does not necessarily mean that's the total wages, that's the net. So it's like take home pay, for instance. So you have to back into it to see how much really you pay yourself for you to take that check as a net. So to do that, let's use an example here. So to do that, if I paid $200 to myself, so you'll take that $200 minus times, and then you open the parentheses and you put 1 minus, and that minus will be the sum of those two taxes that you should have withheld from it, the Social Security and Medicaid. So the employee portion of Social Security is 6.2% and the Medicaid portion is 1.45. So without throwing them together, I'm just going to do it one by one. So that'll be minus 0.62 minus 0.145, and then I will close it. Okay, let me put this one back here and let's see how we did it here. I go seeking into it, but there is a formula. Okay, so first let's go seek and then we'll find the formula. Okay, so if you know a little bit about spreadsheets, you pay $200. We do not have formula in this session, but we have formula here, and that's the net pay. And whatever amount the amount is, you must have, you might need to withhold federal income tax or not. You must have withheld Social Security and Medicaid. So there are formulas in those, in this area. So pretty much the formula is taking the amount you pay times 6.2, and the Medicaid portion is taking the amount you paid times 1.45 as well. So the tax withheld is just the total of federal income tax, Social Security tax withheld from the employee, and the Medicaid tax withheld from the employee. So all about the employee. And the net is taking the amount you pay, the gross, minus the federal income tax withheld, minus employee Social Security tax withheld, minus employee Medicaid tax withheld, is the net. So there is a formula there. So what you will do is, we pay $200 net. So you'll go to data on top, and you click on what if analysis, and we made sure we click in the cell that we are going to have the $200. So we'll click on goal seek, and we will put 200, and we'll click we'll put 200 under to value, and by changing cell we will click there, and then we will come back and we'll click in the same, on the same row but in this session, and then we'll click OK, and that will calculate it. So that's one way to do it, and then we'll click OK. But if you want to know the formula behind it, for some reason, let me close this one and go back to my notes. For some reason, I'm not getting the formula right. So let's go back and see my notes. Probably this one. Don't know if I put it here or not, but we will check. Okay. Oh, maybe the SSA. Yeah, the SSA will have that. SSA. Okay. So how to file? Okay, so let's see what I'm missing here. Okay, so 6.2, and I'm using, okay, I see what I was doing wrong. So now let's come back here. Let's use the $100 one. So $100, we pay $100 to the second person. So you'll put $100, that's the take home, times, you open the parenthesis, 1 minus, so pretty much what we are trying to do is dividing 6.2 by 100. So I put 0.6. It was like dividing it by 10. So divided by 100, it will be 0.062, I believe, 12, minus 0.0145. Okay. And let's go back to it's divided. So it's not multiplication, but it's division. So pretty much you are asking yourself how much you will you pay as a gross for the net to be $100. So how much you pay times what rates will give you $100. So $100 divided by that rate will give you this amount. So that's why we are dividing it. So this is the rate. And if that's something you'll do often, it will be a good idea to calculate the rate. So the rate is going to be 1 minus 0.062 minus 0.0145. 92. So if we try another example again, equal 100 divided by that, and it will give us 108.28. So that's one way to do it. Okay, and this is assuming that we did not pay any federal income, we did not withhold any federal income tax. So if you withheld any federal income tax, or any is required to be withheld, you will have to put it here and pretty much go seek into it. But and you get the idea. So if you pay, you wrote a check to the person, okay, and then you are trying to figure out what you should have paid to collect tax out of, and then have that net. That's how you'll back it into it. So let's take those examples out of the way for some reason. Let me see here. Okay, so in this example we paid 324.85. so that is the gross that will go on line 1. $324. You will write the dollar, the whole dollar on the whole dollar portion, and then you'll put cents as well, like the cents portion. If the cents portion is 00, you'll put 00. They already have the point there. You do not use dollar sign, you do not put point, you just put the portion of the amount that is the dollar amount, and then you put the portion that is the cents amount. So that's the total wages. So 2, federal income tax withheld. And you will go back to your payroll spreadsheet. It's line 2, and pretty much we put here line form 944 line 1 to specify that, you know, that's that total you will report on that form. So line 2, and line 2 is employee federal tax, federal income tax. You can pull it from there. Let's see. You can pull it from the total sessions as well. So if you put something on the, if you withheld federal income tax, the total will be here for all your staff members. Pretty much the total session is that part, and the individual portion is at the bottom. But you can scroll to the employee income tax total section as well, and pretty much income tax withheld, and take the total from here, but there is none. But in your case, if you pay more than just few $100 and you should have withheld tax, how do you find the tax? How do you calculate the tax you will withhold from the income? I believe I have kind of surprised I'm not seeing it here, but anyway, so there is publication 15T. Let me see my notes here. Publication 15T that you should refer to. So let's pull that publication. Let me see if I have it. In fact, let's go search it, shall we? So we'll go to IRS page and you'll just put publication 15T. Let's see if they have it. And you have to click on the search things to make it work. So we will have the link on our under free download on our website as well, but that's how you will search it. So you'll go to publication 15T, but pretty much what it is, it gives you an idea on how you will hold tax, income tax for federal. So you can use, let me see if you can find it quickly. Okay, so you can read through it. I'm not seeing much on this one. Oh, I went too far. We have CC. Okay, we have CCA pages, so let's continue. So they have multiple options. You can either go with the percentage method table for automated payroll system if you pay yourself on an annual basis or quarterly basis. You can use that, and pretty much you will, you'll have to find the gap your salary fall between to see the first part to withhold and then calculate the percentage on the remaining. You can use that portion, this one as a guide. You can also use, for if you have employees that you pay on a regular basis, you can use wages bracket method table for manual payroll system with Form W4 from 2020 or later. And depending on how you pay, if you pay weekly, so it's just giving you the dollar amount, not percentage and dollar amount. So you will find where the salary falls is at least but less than. So $100, for instance, will be at least, so it will be at least $0 but less than 125. So $100 will fall under the first row, and then you'll find if that's yourself, for instance, if you are filing married filing jointly, you will use that, or if that's single, you will use that section, and pretty much you use the standard withholding portion, unless you want to go with what is on the W-4 form that the employee gave you. But I would suggest, to advise your employees not to complicate the W-2 form. Then you can just go with the standard withholding, or you go with, step 2 check box withholding. So we can explain how this works. So that's one option, or second option as well. You can use the wage bracket method table for manual payroll system, and you can find what you withhold. If that's just you and you pay yourself, like in the instance we are using, I collect $200 out of the business, and only one time toward the end of the year in quarter 4, what I like to use is just scroll to the bottom. Might be there is options for annual, semi-monthly, okay, but you will just scroll all the way to the bottom. And they have the percentage options as well. You'll find annual. That's what I did in this example. We have daily here. I'm looking for annual. Weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and then annual. So I like to just use that. So annual, so at least but less than. So, and then if you are going to collect as married person, then you see where the salary lays. So $200 is between 0 and 13,000 for the year. So the tentative amount to withhold is $0 plus this percentage, 0% of the difference. So the amount that is that the wages exceed. So if you take an example here, so if you are paying $14,000, for instance, for the year, is 0 plus 10%, and that exceed, so pretty much 10% of the amount that the wages exceed 13. So that'll be 14,000 minus 13,000. That gives you 1,000. So that's 0 plus 10% times 1,000. So you will take the amount you pay minus minus the limit they have, and that difference you term it by the percentage on the row, and you add it to the amount that they have. So if the amount, the annual salary falls under 30, is more than 33,000 but less than 96,000, is within that category, automatically you have to withhold 2,055, and then you take the amount that you pay minus 33,550, and that difference times 12%. Whatever it gives you, you add it to 2055, and that's the tax you withheld. That's the way it works. So I like to just use the annual, since I'm not collecting much from the business. But you have the option between the first table, and I believe the first table could be on page, let me see if that will be, yeah, page 9, 10. And here is more based on annual as well, if you are using the automated system. So it's based on annual salary. So if they are just annual wages, so you can use that as well. So from 0 to 13,100 or 200 that we paid ourselves fall under that category. So for married filing jointly is pretty much $0. So therefore, on our spreadsheet, we did not withhold any federal income tax, but then we calculated Social Security withheld and all that. So let's go back to our form again. So line 2 for us is left blank, but if you withheld federal income tax, you need to put it. So if you did not withhold anything, but now you notice that the amount you collected, you should have withheld something, you need to find what that thing is. You are going to pretty much your spreadsheet, you are going to change the amount here, because how much you collected is going to be the net, but you need to back into it by putting the federal income tax return that you should have paid based on your annual salary. You will put it, and you will back into it and calculate the Social Security and Medicaid tax on it as well. So now let's go back to our thing. So line 2 for us, because we don't have anything, we left it blank. So line 3, if no wages, tips, or other compensation are subject to Social Security or Medicaid tax, check the box and go to line 5. It does not apply to us. So since we collected salaries, we will have withhold Social Security and Medicaid tax as well. So line 4A is column 1 is the wages that the tax will be paid on. So it's the same thing as line 1 in our cases, and there is exceptions. For instance, line AI, qualified sick leave. If you pay sick leave, you collect Social Security tax on it. You withhold Social Security tax from the employee's income, but you, the business owner, do not pay Social Security tax on that. So that's why the portion, the total, so that's why they have it separately, and they have the percentage here. It's just one person paying the Social Security. The business is not paying, the employee is paying it. So for family leave, is the same thing. The business owner is now paying Social Security tax on it, but you are going to pay Social Security tax. You are going to withhold Social Security tax on tips and wages and sick leave and family leave from the employee's income. But you, as the business owner, you are going to pay Social Security tax on wages and tips as well. So that's why they have 12.4 here. That's twice 0.062 for those two, employee and business owners. So for 4A, we have total wages paid 324.85. I'm just going to move it all the way to the total portion here. So the total wages that we have on line 1 is going to be the same for line 4 times 0.124 is $40.28. And I like to calculate that on my spreadsheet so that I make sure I'm getting the numbers right. So it's pretty much is pulling it from the spreadsheet further left. But that's the total Social Security, and I put line 4A colon 2 there. So $48.28. And it needless is it doesn't we are now that is not applicable to our situation, so we left it blank. So line 4C, taxable Medicaid wages and tip. And column 1 is the wages and the tip. So that portion is going to be the same as line 1, total wages in our case. $324.85 times 0.024. The employer and the employee will pay 1.45% on it. So both will be 2.9%. So you will apply that on this total amount, and that gives us $9.42. So we have $9.42 for total Medicaid tax. And I like to have those totals so that it's easier than just trying to total them. But we do have employee portion and we have employer portion. So those two will total to $9.92. And that will go on the form 944. And there is Social Security past a certain dollar amount, you do not withhold Social Security tax on the wages, and you can find it in the instructions. I'm not sure I will find it very quickly, but there is a limit for it. But there is not a limit for Medicaid tax. So I think it will be quite up. We can find it when we go down as well in the instructions. I think we went a little bit 142,800. Believe so. So let's go back up a little bit to 4A. So if you are, when you are filing the form and you are not sure about something, you go to the instructions and you locate that part in the instructions and you read it carefully. So it's good you download the form and you download the instructions as well. So yeah, I believe 100 you will withhold Social Security tax on employees' wages until you pay that person over 142,800. But you will continue to withhold Medicaid tax on the wages you pay the person, but there is a cap for the Social Security. So let's go back to the form again. So there is taxable wages tip subject to additional Medicaid tax withhold. So it may not be applicable to you if your business is new, but if you think your business might fall under those categories, you can read the instructions. You just have to scroll to Medicaid portion of it to see what the additional end is. So additional Medicaid tax in the pay period in which you pay wages in excess of $200,000 to an employee. So and you read it well because there is pay period involved. And until the end of the calendar year. So additional Medicaid tax is only imposed on the employee. There is no employer share of additional Medicaid tax. So that's that. So when we go back, that's why they have that portion separately from the top. So if you pay over $100,000 to an employee in excess of $200,000, so that additional portion of the additional portion of the wages will be put here, and then you apply that 0.9% on it. So let's continue. So line 5, total taxes before adjustment, is line 2 and line 4. And before we do that, let's do line 4E, total Social Security and Medicaid taxes. So that will be all your column 2. And in our case, it's $40.28 and $9.42. So that's $49.70. And we can locate that on our spreadsheet as well. It will be total Social Security, and I put form 944 line 4E, and it's $49.70. So let's go back to the form again. Now line 5. So line 5, total taxes before adjustment. It is line 2 and line 4E. And line 2 is the federal income tax withheld. In our situation is 0. So it's left blank plus $49.70, and that will give us $49.70 as well. So line 6, current year adjustments, and they will give instructions on that. And a lot of time it might have to do with when you are filing W-2, W-3 with Social Security, and you have to make adjustment so that things balance out. So you can read that portion on line 6. And what I like to do, and I will suggest, is you complete your 944 and then you save it on your computer, and you file W-2, W-3 with SSA, Social Security Administration, to make sure your dollars amount matches. So there is some adjustment, and it will be more like a rounding issue. So in certain cases, you must adjust the amount you enter in Social Security and Medicaid tax in column 2, line A and D to figure the correct tax liability. So for this year, for form 944, so they went into detail on, for fractions of cents and adjustment for sick leave, but I'm not going to go too much into it. But that's where you will find it on page 15. So in our case, we left it blank because our numbers don't have, like things ending with 33333 or 6666, for instance. So it's blank. And line 7 is total tax after adjustments, and we have you will combine line 5 and line 6. So that will be $49.70 plus $0, and that will give us $49.70. So line 8 is qualified small business payroll tax credits for increasing research activities. If you think you are qualified for something like that, you might want to read the instructions, and probably you'll file Form 8974 and attach it. But I'm not going to go in detail on in this example. So you will read the instructions. If you think a line might be applicable to your situation and you don't understand it, you read the instructions for that line. But for a simple business, a lot of things may not be applicable. So I'm not going to go into the refundable portion or the non-refundable portion either. But you could read about it, because with the 2020 issue, 2021, there is some credit available. You can read it to see if that is related to you. They are in the instructions, detailed in the instructions. So the non-refundable part of the credit is line A, and they have multiple subsections of those. It does not apply to us, so I left mine blank. And I will go to page 2. So page 2, you'll put your name, not the business name, but the main business owner's name, first name, last name. And you'll put the business employer identification number on the form. So part 1 continue, you have line A's here.